Hi guys, Xavier here, bringing you a brand new video. Today I'm doing another top 10 list, but this top 10 list is for PlayStation 1 games, because I did my top 10 favorite video games of all time list, but I felt there was a lot of games I really wanted to share, other games that I really love, and so I decided to go through each generation of PlayStation games and tell you my top 10 for each. So I'm starting it off with my top 10 favorite PlayStation 1 games. Although I should warn you, I don't own all of them anymore. When I was when I was a kid, I didn't really take care of my PlayStation games. So I pretty much had no PS1 games. And I've been slowly collecting my PS1 games back, but I don't have them all quite yet. But I do have a lot of them, and I really want to share them with you. So without further ado, let's start this. Number 10 might seem like a strange pick, because I don't think a lot of people have ever even heard about it. But this is actually the very first teen-rated game I ever owned. And we weren't even supposed to have this game as a kid, but my brother's friend came over and he gave the game to us. And we hid it from our parents, but we always played it. And it's still a pretty fun game, actually. And that game is Evil Zone. It's a 3D fighter, like a Tekken, but it's got an anime style about it, and the story is alright, but I just really liked it because I loved anime. I still love anime, and it was just a really fun game, and I've got a lot of memories playing it, and actually a lot of games on this list are mostly nostalgia. So number 10 is Evil Zone. Here at number 9 is a game I don't currently have right now. I actually do have it downloaded on the PS3, but I don't own a physical copy at the moment. And that game is Spyro the Dragon, the first Spyro game. That game is also very nostalgic. It was a game actually my brother owned, and it was just one of those games. Him and I, sat in front of the TV for hours on end every day, playing it, like taking turns and trying to beat the levels. And the game was just really fun. And it's actually still a very fun game. It's still a very good game. And I would definitely suggest, if you haven't ever played a Spyro game, to play it, because that game is just pure fun. And it's cool too. It was a super cool game when I was a kid. So that's definitely one of my favorite games. At number 8 is another game that I don't have anymore. I'd like to get it back soon, and that game is Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories. Now, why would I want a Yu-Gi-Oh! Game on my list? Well, when I was a kid, and I still actually play Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, when Yu-Gi-Oh! First came out, I played it, but as a lot of people know, a lot of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Games weren't actually based off the actual card game. They were Yu-Gi-Oh! Creatures in a different game of some sort in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Universe. And the game actually is really tough, because it's really hard to get a lot of the good cards in it. And it took a long time to beat. But, that was a Yu-Gi-Oh! Game, and it was for the PlayStation. And, when I was younger, I loved that game. And even though today I don't know if I might enjoy. I don't know if I'll enjoy it as much as I did as a kid, but for nostalgia purposes, I think I really remember loving that game a lot. I really wanted it on my list, so that was number 8. Here at number 7, it might be breaking my one per franchise rule that I normally do for my videos, but at the same time, I don't think it does. Because if you've seen my top 10 favorite games of all time list, you probably know. My number 7 pick is Digimon Rumble Arena. This was one of my all-time favorite games as a kid. And all my friends, whenever I went to their house, always made me bring this over, because it was basically a Super Smash Brothers, but in Digimon form. And it was actually pretty well done, and it was a really fun game. You could actually Digivolve to make yourself stronger, and it was just a whole ton of fun. And I always loved playing this game, and all my friends loved playing this game, and that's why it's on my list. Okay, now we're at number 6. This game was a very fun game. It's actually still a very fun game, and I put a lot of time into this. This is one of the few games that my parents actually would play alongside Wheel of Fortune and Frogger. This is the only other game when we were kids that they would play with us, and that is Crash Bandicoot Warped. And this game is just a lot of fun. There's a lot of variety, and it was just really fun. And I can still play this game and have a ton of fun with it. And it's a Naughty Dog game, and a lot of you know them for Uncharted or even the Jak series. But this is, where they found their fame, I believe. And it's still a very fun game today. So if you haven't played Crash Bandicoot Warped, I do suggest playing it, because this is one of the best Crash games there are. At number 5 is another game I sorely wish I had, but I do not. And that game is Ape Escape, the first Ape Escape that they released. And that was actually my first PlayStation game that I ever got with my PlayStation. My parents had bought me a couple of games, but I still consider Ape Escape the first one, because it was the first one I opened. It was the first one that I really, really played a whole lot. And I was so much in love with Ape Escape, and I put a lot of time into it when I was younger. And I sorely wish I had it again, even though I'm pretty sure that's a fairly difficult game. I still really want to get it, and I really want to play it again. And that's definitely one of the games I will be hopefully getting sooner than later, because I've been slowly getting my PlayStation collection back over time. But hopefully that's probably like the next one on my list, because I miss that game more than any of the others that I don't have. So definitely a solid number 5 is Ape Escape. Number 4. This was one that I had put a footnote on at the end of my top 10 video games video. That it was hard not to have it on my list, because this game was my very first fighting game ever. And it's still got a lot of sentiment to me. And I still really like this game, and it's a really fun game, even though the graphics are really dated, and they still make new games. So, but this is definitely one of my favorites for PlayStation 1, and that's Tekken 2. I'm still a big fan of the Tekken series, even though I'm not really that great at fighting games. I don't really play a ton of fighting games anymore, but Tekken is definitely one of my favorites. And it all started for me with Tekken 2, because my cousin actually owned it, and whenever I'd go to my aunt's house, I'd always ask to play this game. And this was just a ton of fun for me, and that's why it's on this list, and why I love this one so much, because it's got a lot of sentimental value to me, and it's what got me into fighting games in the first place. And I'm still a big fan of the Tekken storyline, so that was number 4. Number 3 is actually a runner-up that I had in my last video, and it might not be on everybody's list, but at one point when I was a kid, this was my all-time favorite video game. That game is Mega Man Legends, the first one. The story is kind of kiddish, but when I was a kid, it really worked for me, and the story was so very good and so well done. And I can still play this game, and it's hard. It's actually pretty hard. The controls really stiff, but it's actually fun for me still. And every time I play it, I'm just like, oh my gosh. So I played this game so much when I was a kid, so very much. And I still really like this game, even though it's people either hate it or they love it, because I believe this was the first 3D Mega Man game they ever did. This is actually what got me into Mega Man in the first place, and I played the older games, and this is actually what got me into Mega Man in the first place, and it's still my favorite. So Mega Man Legends, number 3. My number 2 spot wasn't actually on my top 10 favorite video games of all time list, because I had a different version of this series, and I tried to keep it one per series. But this is definitely one of my favorites on the PS1. I think it's actually a lot of people's favorites as well, and that's Final Fantasy VII. Final Fantasy VII, the whole storyline of it no matter which game it is still my favorite Final Fantasy series. I haven't played a Final Fantasy game that to me has beat Final Fantasy VII. And I know there's a lot of people who really love Final Fantasy VII just like me, but I also know that there's other people who think there are other better ones, which is fine. This is one of my favorites. And I just hated when I was a kid because my file kept getting corrupted when I was a kid, and I never beat it when I was a kid, but I tried like 4 or 5 times and it'd always get corrupted. And I'd get so mad because it did keep getting corrupted, and I didn't own it because I kept borrowing it. But I did beat it eventually, I promise. But this is just a wonderful game, and if you haven't played Final Fantasy VII and you like RPGs, this is definitely one you should try. My number one pick is probably no surprise to anyone. It was the only game that actually made it on my top 10 favorite video games of all time list. And this game is, to me, really great. And earlier I mentioned that I might have been breaking the rule just a little bit for the one per franchise game rule for my top 10 lists. And number one for me is Digimon World 3. Digimon World 3 is not a game for everybody, but I remember as a kid, I was never allowed to have teen-rated games when I was a kid. Like I said with Evil Zone, I wasn't supposed to have it. But and all the other Digimon Worlds before this were teen-rated, so I couldn't get them. But when Digimon World 3 came out and it was rated E for everyone, you know, this was like my world when I was a kid. My friends had this game as well, and we like always played it, and we'd always like discuss it, like where we were, what to do. And even though I actually did replay this game fairly recently, the whole thing, and I don't think this game's for everybody because there's not a lot of story at all, and the story is more for a kind of a kid's story, and it's really a long grind fest, and you know I spent most of my time actually farming to level up my Digimon. But you know, all the memories I have with this game, and this game was so much fun for me as a kid. That's why it's number one still, because I just remember all the good times I had with this game with my friends and myself. And you know, I just can't put it any lower right now because it's still my favorite PS1 game. And I'm going to end it here. I thank you all for watching my videos. If you haven't checked out my other top 10s, check them out because I'll be planning to do a couple more in the future. Definitely going to do a PlayStation 2 top 10 and a PlayStation 3 top 10. I won't get to a PS4 top 10 yet because I haven't played enough PS4 games quite yet. I might do a Vita one, maybe a top 5 Vita and maybe a top 5 PSP games. But I haven't decided the handhelds yet. But I'll definitely be doing a PS2 and a PS3 top 10, so look out for those. Again, guys, thanks for watching, and you all have a great day.